March 7th, 2015, on board Air Force One. We were flying down with President Obama, then President Obama, to Selma, Alabama. And I had asked him a question about, quote unquote, post-racial versus post-Obama era. And he said, I would not equate my election with seminal moments like the Emancipation Proclamation or the passage of the Civil Rights Act of 1964, the Voting Rights Act of 1965. Those were massive changes in legal status that represented fundamental breaks in America's tragic history and were the pillars, the 13th Amendment, 14th Amendment, and 15th Amendment of Civil Rights Acts of the 60s. Those represented the dismantling of formal discrimination in this country. There's nothing that's going to compare to that. Moving forward, our work is to build on that work, to fine-tune that work where we see formal discrimination or state-sponsored discrimination still occurring. But increasingly, our work has to do with dealing with the ongoing legacy of a divided society. Closing the opportunity gaps, closing the achievement gaps, closing the wealth gaps that inevitably have been passed on from generation to generation because the gaps were so wide. And that involves no one piece of legislation, but it requires a host of different efforts. It means investing in early childhood education. It means us making sure everybody has health insurance. It means that kind of public-private work that we're doing through My Brother's Keeper. It means getting more African Americans in STEM education, in math and science and engineering. And so there's not going to be one silver bullet, but rather it's going to be a sustained effort on a variety of fronts that will take us to the next leg of this journey towards a more just society. Wow. That was on our way to Selma, Alabama for the 50th anniversary of Bloody Sunday. And those words still ring true today. But again, who are we? So this book really goes into the heart of the matter. When you talk about race, and this is kind of piggybacking off of what President Obama said, then President Obama. And isn't it strange to say then President Obama? It's just been 10 days or 11 days. I don't know. I can't even keep count now. But the bottom line is that we still have a society that is divided. And I'm going to go back to something my children's favorite singer, Leslie Odom Jr., in the song called Seriously, where we are a united, divided states. So when it comes to matters of race, African Americans still have the highest numbers of negatives in almost every category. And issues of policing are very important. That's one of the pieces where I start in this book. Traditionally, in the African American community, the American Black community, there is an instinctive coming of age truth for our young Black men called the talk. It's something Black fathers or father figures give their sons or equivalents. It's meant to be a lifetime tool that might help these boys strategically navigate interactions with law enforcement with the ultimate goal of avoiding altercations. The talk can spell life or death for some Black males. I know it sounds so 1950s and 60s, but now more than ever, that's the reality in the modern age, more than 60 years later. The essence of the talk is a dad telling his son in blunt terms that some bad policing results in death for our Black men and boys. Be it intentional or unintentional, it is more than a soulful truth. It's an unavoidable fact in our communities.